Hey there guys, so this is Far Cry 3 running on the Ryzen 5 5500U. Now I've set the performance of the chip, or rather the preset of the chip, to the balanced mode. So that essentially means that the TDP that the chip is using is going to be between 22 watts and 25 watts. Now the game is running at 1080p lowest settings and the performance is pretty decent, more or less what I was expecting, even better for a game that released in 2012, especially a game from Ubisoft where back in the day their PC ports would just be abysmal. I'm talking about the Assassin's Creed games, more specifically the Ezio trilogy, where the games would have major issues with VSync enabled and they would just not allowed pretty much all the time. I'm hoping that I could do that test for you guys, benchmark the Assassin's Creed games, but for now we're taking a look at Far Cry 3, and the 1% lows are hanging around the 30 FPS range. So that essentially means that no matter what goes on around you in the game, whether in high octane battles or explosions are all over the place, the game will not drop lower than 30 FPS. So if you were to cap the frame rate to 30 FPS, then you would essentially get a 30 FPS experience all the time. And I'm pretty pleased for that, especially for one of my favorite games of all time. Now, I want to show you guys how the game runs at 900p and 720p lowest, so let's move on to 900p. So this is 900p lowest possible settings, and the performance is actually quite disappointing considering that at 1080p we were hanging around the 30 FPS range in terms of our 1% lows and the high to low 40s in our averages. So going to 900p, you would expect that there to be an increase of some sort, but we barely increased our 1% lows. We probably went up by about 3 or 4 FPS. The averages have increased. I mean, the game now runs more consistently around the 50 FPS range, sometimes even 60, but the 1% lows will pretty much always determine that the game will find itself around the 30 FPS, at the 30 FPS range at some point. So that is disappointing in that regard, but it does essentially mean that the experience would be a lot more smooth in terms of frame time. As you can see, like there's barely any spikes, any strange fluctuations in the frame time graph. So at least we will have a much more stable FPS. But yeah, I'm gonna take you to 720p low and show you just how much of a big boost it is from 900p lowest.
We will repel anyone who tries to take this outpost.
So this is 720p lowest possible settings, and I just forgot to show you guys in the graphics settings menu that this is 720p lowest. But yeah, the performance is actually a whole lot more better. You can see now that our averages are pretty much always above 60 FPS and our 1% lows are around the 50s range. So it will drop from 60 at some point, but honestly I find that when you cap the FPS to 60 FPS and there's a drop that takes you to maybe around the 50s, I hardly notice it, especially when the frame time counter is off. So if you're looking for a 60 FPS experience with this game, then I would pretty much always recommend that you take the resolution to 720p, keep the settings to the absolute lowest, but I will show you guys how it runs at medium settings to like try and get more visual quality out of the experience. But overall, this is definitely a fantastic way to play this game, especially if you don't like playing games at 30 FPS, especially first person shooters, because I do understand that those do require much more precise aiming and movement in order to have a good time. So I'm gonna take you guys to 720p medium, 900p medium, and 1080p medium to show you if it's possible to get more visual quality out of the experience. Here we are, 720p medium settings, and the performance definitely did drop. I went back to the camp after finishing that quest, and you can see that the 1% goes up dropped a little by maybe about 4 or 3 FPS or so, but the averages are still above 60 FPS. So although you're gonna be sacrificing a lot more performance to play the game at the medium settings, it's honestly not that substantial. And oops, I accidentally ran over that guy and I didn't want to title. But anyway, yeah, I do think you can play the game at 720p medium, but do know that you will at some point drop below 60 and maybe even 50, but a 45 FPS average should be possible all the time. When you can cap the game at 45 FPS all the time and play the game at that frame rate, it should still feel smooth and responsive. So I'm gonna take you guys to 900p medium now to show you how that runs. So this is 900p medium settings, and the performance that we're getting is definitely a step down from 720p medium. It's more or less the performance range that we were seeing when we were playing at 1080p lowest possible settings. And I mean, for the visual quality upgrades that we are getting, I mean, I barely noticed anything, so I can't really say if this is how I'd play the game. I would much rather play at 1080p low than 900p low, because the experience that we're getting at 900p medium is more or less what we're getting at 1080p low, and I'd argue that medium settings and low settings more or less the same. So I can't say I'd recommend 900p medium, but I'm gonna take you to 1080p medium and show you how that runs, and let me just say that it's not good. So this is 1080p medium settings, and the performance is just, it's not good. It really isn't good. Like I said, the 1% lows are hanging around the 20 FPS range. The frame times are erratic. There's a lot more stutters than what we were seeing at the other resolution settings and graphics settings. The averages are now in the high 30s, so you know that the game is going to drop into the 30s and even below that at some point. And overall, this is not a recommendable experience. I don't think you should play Far Cry 3 like this. This is not how I would want anyone to experience this game. So my recommendation is you can play the game at any resolution setting if you want, so long as you don't go above those settings, especially for 720p and 900p. For 1080p, do not go above low settings because you're going to have a struggle running this. It's gonna chug. But anyway, guys, I enjoyed doing this benchmark for you. If you want me to test out other games, then please leave a like and subscribe. Drop a comment if you'd like to test maybe one of the games that you're thinking about. And this is peace for me.